Book Stories. I am Melinda, and I'm here again with well, you probably by the time you see this won't see the first time he shows up, but I'm here with my son Chris. First off, I apologize for any background noise. My husband is in the other room doing something. I don't know what. But today, Chris is going to help me, and I think we're going to try something a little different. I have these cards, and they're called Lit Chat cards. So last night, I had my Marginalized Authors Book Club, and the way we do that book club is we read a book every other month, and then the months that we don't read books, we have sort of a literary society discussion. And I like to pull out these cards as conversation starters, and I was thinking I might start just answering one card in a video, like maybe once a week, and see how that goes, and it might be a way for viewers to get to know me a little better. So to prove that I am completely caught off guard by whatever the question is, Chris is going to help me.
Okay.
So pull a card out. Here.
I can't get one.
Here, we'll do it this way. Choose a card. Any card in there. Choose a card, any card.
Ooh.
Okay, what's the book? There's always a book title on the front that doesn't really apply to the
Good
question.
Night Moon.
Good Night Moon? Did I read Good Night Moon to you when you were a kid?
Yeah.
Okay, what's the first question?
Were you ever read to as a child?
Was I ever read to as a child?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm sure I was. My mom was a big reader, so I know that she read to me. And I also have older siblings, older brothers, and I know that some of them read to me as well. So I don't have any memories of that, but I know for sure that they did. Is there more to that question?
Is there a book you remember reading with someone?
No, I don't remember, because I don't remember people reading to me, but I remember reading books to you guys, to you and your sister.
Woo!
We read Goodnight Moon, and we read Goodnight Ghoul. Do you remember Goodnight Ghoul? Oh, that was a spoof on Goodnight Moon. We read a lot of books together.
Especially the good night books.
Yeah, we read a lot of goodnight stories. And you like dinosaur books, so we read a lot of dinosaur books. Yeah. So, there's that question.
Do you remember the first book you read all by yourself?
I don't think I do. I'm sure it was something that I had to read in school, because I didn't really enjoy reading until I was a little bit older. So it must have been something that I had to read when I was in school. But I can't remember exactly what that would be. I do remember the first books that I read to myself that I enjoy. So they weren't the first ones I read, but the first ones that I kind of enjoy and remember were the Ramona books, which I'm going to date myself a little bit, but the Ramona books were still coming out when I was reading them. So I loved Ramona. And I read all the books that were out when I was a kid. I remember I think I got copies of them through like the Scholastic book fair and the Scholastic book flyers and stuff. But what was really fun was that while books were still coming out when I was a kid, I sort of aged out of them before the last books came out. So when my daughter was of the age and I was reading these books to her, there were the last two Ramona books I had never read before, because they had been released after I had sort of grown out of them. So I could experience them for the first time with her. So that was a lot of fun. So is that a good answer? Do you want to do one more?
Oh, yeah, sure.
We're going to do one more, just because that was kind of a short one. Okay.
Shorts.
Well, it was an easy one.
Easy. Everybody knows.
What book is it?
Things Fall Apart.
I don't think I ever read that book.
Is there a book or series that you feel is highly overrated?
Yes. I will say Twilight or 50 Shades of Grey, and I know people will disagree with me on them, and I have not actually read either one of them, other than picking them up in the bookstore, reading the first page or so, and then putting them back down. I had that same experience with Colleen Hoover, and I know Colleen Hoover is very popular, and if she brings you joy, that's great. But I picked up one of her books, I read a little bit of it, like the first couple pages, and I put it back down. That's not an author for me. As for like 50 Shades of Grey and Twilight, because there's so much in our culture, and they've, everyone knows their stories, whether or not they have seen the movies or read the books. I kind of feel a little bit more that I can say, yeah, I think it is overrated. So there you go.
And the second part was defend your choice, but you just did that.
I just did that. What's the second question? There are 2 questions on each card. So.
All right. What about authors? Are there any authors beloved by critics and that you can't stand?
I think people are gonna click off the video here because I'm gonna say a very well-known author that people love.
Okay, I'll say bye now. Bye.
No, I'm not going to.
In case.
I don't like Jane Austen. So I know people love Jane Austen. I don't like Jane Austen. I had to read most of her books in college. Like, they were assigned. I had to read them. We dissected them, and I think that just killed it for me. The one book that I dislike the least is the one that I read on my own, which was Sense and Sensibility. I will say about Austen, and again, people are going to hate me for this, but I think movie adaptations of her books are usually, I've heard some really awful things about the recent, I think, Persuasion adaptation, but they're usually better than the books, and I don't say that a lot. But yeah, I will say Jane Austen is one that I just can't stand. So, thank you for joining us with this. We might do this again next week. This was fun, and maybe Chris will join us again.
Bye.
Bye. See you in the next video. See how long? Oh, yep, he ran out.